The day she stood in court, she wasn't just fighting a millionaire. She was fighting a system that decided she didn't belong. Rain streaked down the courthouse steps like the city itself was crying for her. Her uniform was still damp from the last building she cleaned, a place she would never be allowed to enter again. Everyone stared at her as she walked past. Reporters, lawyers, strangers who saw only what the headlines told them. Immigrant cleaning lady steals millionaire's diamond watch. But none of them knew her name. Maria Lopez. 47 years old. A mother. A widow. A woman who spent half her life polishing the glass towers that people like Charlotte Cross built their empires in. Charlotte, the young, white, golden-haired CEO who could ruin a life with a single sentence. She'd looked at Maria once, just once, when security dragged her out of the building, saying coldly, "Integrity starts from the bottom. And I don't forgive theft." That moment broke something inside her. Not just because it wasn't true, but because it was so easy for everyone else to believe it. Maria stood before the judge now, trembling hands clutching the edges of her worn uniform. Her voice was barely a whisper. "No, Your Honor. I don't have a lawyer. I'll speak for myself." Laughter rippled through the room. Charlotte's attorney smirked, the kind of smile people wear when they've already decided you're guilty. But Maria didn't flinch. She lifted her chin, the soft light catching the wrinkles life had carved into her face. Her eyes burned not with anger, but with quiet fire, the kind born from years of swallowing humiliation. "I've cleaned this city's glass for 20 years, she said softly. "I've picked up the things people throw away, even their pride. But I have never taken what wasn't mine." The courtroom fell silent. Even Charlotte's expression faltered, just for a heartbeat. Then the gavel struck. The world kept spinning. And Maria stood there, small, soaked, but unbroken. Alone, or so she thought. Because what no one knew, not the judge, not the press, not even the woman who accused her, was that Maria's daughter was on her way. And when she walked into that courtroom, she would expose everything. The gavel struck again, echoing through the courtroom like thunder rolling through marble. "Case of Cross Dynamics versus Maria Lopez," the judge announced. "Charges: theft, breach of trust, and destruction of company property." The words hit harder than the cuffs ever had. Maria stood still, small, soaked, and silent. Across the aisle, Charlotte Cross sat in a crisp white suit, her composure as flawless as her image. Cameras adored her, the self-made millionaire who'd risen faster than anyone expected. Her beauty was effortless, her confidence rehearsed. To the public, she was an inspiration. To Maria, she was the woman who'd called her a thief. Charlotte didn't look at her. She didn't have to. Her lawyers did the talking, smooth voices laced with venom. "Your Honor," one began, "my client entrusted this woman with access to her private office. The missing item, a limited edition diamond Patek Philippe, disappeared mere minutes after the defendant's cleaning shift. Surveillance places her at the scene. Motive: financial distress." Maria's hands trembled. She wanted to speak, to say that she'd only gone in to refill the air freshener, to close a drawer left open. But the words sat heavy on her tongue. The lawyer's tone sharpened. "Your Honor, the defendant's silence speaks volumes." Maria finally looked up. "I'm silent," she said softly, "because you wouldn't hear me even if I screamed." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The judge's brow lifted slightly, impressed, perhaps, by the fire in her voice. Charlotte shifted in her seat, eyes flicking toward Maria for the first time. Their gazes met, a second that felt like eternity. One woman born into power, the other surviving beneath it. Charlotte's lawyer pressed a button. The screen behind them flickered to life, grainy black and white security footage. There she was, Maria, pushing her cleaning cart into the CEO's office, glancing once toward the desk, then leaving. The lawyer froze the frame. Exhibit A timestamp, 9:41 p.m. The last person inside before the item disappeared. Maria stared at her own image, her reflection on the glossy screen almost mocking her. She remembered that night, the smell of polish, the hum of fluorescent lights. She remembered closing that drawer to protect someone else's carelessness. And now it was destroying her. Charlotte finally spoke. "I built my company on trust," she said, her voice smooth as marble. "And when someone breaks that trust, no matter who they are, I cannot let it go unpunished." Maria flinched, not at the words, but at how easy they sounded in Charlotte's mouth. The judge turned. "Mrs. Lopez, you may respond." Maria took a deep breath. Her palms were sweating. "I've cleaned that building for 23 years, she began. "I've polished every inch of glass until I could see my own reflection disappear in it. But I didn't take anything. I wouldn't know where to sell a watch like that. I wouldn't even know how to touch it." Her voice cracked. "I may not have money, Your Honor, but I have hands that work, and I've used them honestly all my life." A hush fell. Even Charlotte's expression wavered, for half a heartbeat, the mask slipping. The judge nodded slowly. "We will resume after recess." In the hallway, Maria sat alone on a wooden bench, clutching the strap of her worn purse. Her reflection stared back from the polished floor, blurred, faint. People walked past her without looking. Reporters whispered her name like a headline, not a human being. Through the glass wall at the end of the corridor, she could see Charlotte giving a calm, confident interview. "This isn't personal," Charlotte was saying into a cluster of microphones. "It's about principles." Maria wanted to laugh. Principles. People like her didn't get to have principles, just consequences. Her phone buzzed. A message from her daughter, Elena. "Mama, are you okay? I've been calling. Please answer." She typed back, "I'm fine, am I amor? Just tired." Then she deleted the message before sending it. Elena was studying law, working day and night to make something better of their family's name. Maria refused to be the reason it got stained. She closed her eyes and whispered, "God, if I must lose, let me lose with dignity." When the recess ended, the courtroom was even fuller. Whispers swelled like wind through leaves. Charlotte returned to her seat, composed. Maria stood again, steady but fragile. The prosecutor began his final statement. "Your Honor, this case is simple. The defendant's financial hardship created motive. The footage shows opportunity, and her failure to provide an alternative explanation only confirms guilt. The prosecution rests." The judge looked to Maria. "Mrs. Lopez," he said gently, "you may speak before I give my decision." Maria rose, her voice barely audible. "When I started cleaning those offices, I told myself, one day my daughter would walk through those same doors, not as staff, but as someone they'd listen to." Her hands trembled. "I didn't know it would happen like this." The judge hesitated. "You mean, your daughter?" Maria nodded. "She's in her final year of law school. I didn't tell her. I didn't want her to see me like this." The judge's gavel rested halfway down. Charlotte looked uneasy now, her perfect confidence cracking under the weight of the older woman's quiet strength. And then, the back doors opened. A confident voice echoed through the room. "Then maybe it's time she sees everything." Every head turned. A young woman in a fitted black suit strode forward, her posture fierce and her eyes burning with conviction. "Your Honor," she said clearly, "Elena Lopez. I'll be representing my mother." The courtroom erupted. Gasps. Whispers. Camera flashes. Charlotte froze, recognizing the danger in the young woman's confidence. Maria covered her mouth with trembling hands. "Elena," she whispered. Her daughter walked straight to her, placed a hand on her shoulder, and said quietly, "You fought alone long enough, Mama. Let me fight for you now." Then she turned toward the bench, holding up a flash drive. "Your Honor, this contains footage the prosecution failed to include. Footage that clears my mother's name." Charlotte's composure shattered, just a flicker, as the judge motioned for the file to be shown. The screen lit up again. But this time, it wasn't Maria. It was Charlotte's assistant, entering the office after Maria left, sliding something from the desk drawer into his pocket. Gasps filled the courtroom. Charlotte's lawyers went pale. And Maria, for the first time in months, finally breathed. Her voice trembled with awe. "That's the truth," she whispered. "You found it." Elena smiled, eyes glistening. "No, Mama. You became it." The courtroom lights dimmed as the footage played again. On the giant monitor, the truth flickered in grainy gray. A man, Charlotte Cross's personal assistant, slipping into her office after Maria Lopez left, glancing around, and sliding the diamond watch into his pocket. Gasps spread like wildfire. For months, Maria's name had been dragged through headlines. Now silence swallowed the room. Charlotte's attorneys exchanged frantic whispers. One of them leaned in and hissed, "That clip isn't authorized. Where did she get that?" Elena's voice was calm. "From your own server logs. They were misfiled under archived security." Conveniently forgotten. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Is that true, Miss Cross?" Charlotte's poise cracked for the first time. Her lips parted, but no words came. The assistant stood trembling in the witness stand. Sweat glistened on his forehead as the judge asked, "Mr. Reed, did you remove the item from Ms. Cross's office?" He swallowed hard. "Yes, Your Honor." A gasp. I had gambling debts. I took it, but I panicked when the footage showed Mrs. Lopez nearby. I told Ms. Cross I could fix it before anyone found out." The judge frowned. "And Ms. Cross agreed to conceal this?" Reed hesitated, glancing toward his boss. Charlotte stared straight ahead, pale as paper. He whispered, She told me to delete the second camera file." The courtroom erupted. Reporters scribbled furiously. Cameras flashed. Charlotte rose from her seat, voice trembling between anger and desperation. "That's a lie. He's twisting everything." Elena stepped forward. "Then explain why the footage metadata was edited under your personal authorization code." She handed the printouts to the clerk. Charlotte froze. Her mask shattered completely now, the polished CEO replaced by a frightened woman cornered by truth. Maria sat motionless, tears slipping down her cheeks. For the first time since her arrest, no one looked at her with pity or suspicion. They looked at her with awe. The judge cleared his throat. "Given this evidence, all charges against Mrs. Lopez are hereby dismissed. The court will forward this new information to the district attorney's office for potential obstruction charges against Ms. Cross." Maria didn't hear the rest. Her knees buckled. Elena caught her, whispering, "It's over, Mama. It's finally over." Charlotte turned, eyes glossy. "Mrs. Lopez, Maria's gaze met hers. "Don't," she said quietly. "You already said everything when you called me a thief." The words struck harder than any sentence the court could have given. Outside, the flash of cameras lit the courthouse steps. Maria and Elena shielded their faces, pushing through the swarm. "Mrs. Lopez," a reporter shouted, "will you sue Cross Dynamics? Do you want compensation?" Maria stopped at the bottom step, looked back at the building that had nearly destroyed her, and said softly, "No. I already got what money can't buy." Then she walked away, hand in hand with her daughter. Across the street, behind a tinted window, Charlotte watched from her car, stripped of the confidence she once wore like perfume. Her lawyer muttered, "We can appeal." Charlotte shook her head. "No. You can't appeal the truth." That night, rain returned, gentle this time, like a cleansing. In their small apartment, Maria sat at the kitchen table staring at the folded newspaper. Cleaning lady cleared. CEO under investigation. Elena brewed coffee and set a cup beside her. Maria smiled faintly. "You didn't have to come back from school." Elena shook her head. "You taught me to clean messes, Mama. This one just needed a different mop." Maria laughed through tears. "You make it sound easy." "It wasn't," Elena said. But it was right. They sat in silence for a long while, the hum of the city seeping through cracked windows. Finally, Maria whispered, "When they took me away, I thought my life was over. But today, when you walked in, I saw everything I ever worked for." Elena squeezed her mother's hand. "Then we start again. Together." Outside, lightning flashed against the skyline, the same glass towers Maria had once polished until her reflection vanished. Now, for the first time, the glass reflected her back. The morning after the verdict, headlines blazed across every news channel. CEO Charlotte Cross accused of evidence tampering. The world that once adored her perfection now tore it apart piece by piece. Social media turned overnight. Her smile, once power, now a meme of hypocrisy. Inside her penthouse, Charlotte sat alone, the city skyline reflecting across the glass, the same towers that had once mirrored Maria's face as she cleaned. Now they reflected her downfall. Her assistant's confession had gone viral. Sponsors pulled out. The board demanded a meeting. Her empire, built on image, was cracking, and for the first time, there was no one left to blame. That afternoon, she drove to Maria's old neighborhood, a place she'd only ever seen from behind tinted windows. She found Maria standing outside a small community center, helping Elena distribute food to other struggling workers. Charlotte hesitated, then approached. People recognized her instantly. Murmurs rippled. Maria turned. Her face was calm, no anger, no triumph. Charlotte's voice trembled. "Didn't come to ask forgiveness. I came to understand why you didn't destroy me when you could." Maria stuttered her, eyes soft but steady. "Because I've spent my whole life cleaning after people who make messes and walk away. Someone has to stop the cycle." Charlotte blinked back tears. "You could have taken everything." "I don't want what's yours," Maria said quietly. "I just wanted my name back." Charlotte nodded, the weight of guilt pressing down like gravity. Then she left. No cameras, no entourage, just silence. And for the first time, she truly saw what power had made her blind to. Dignity doesn't need a title. Elena squeezed her mother's hand. "Then we start again. Together." Outside, lightning flashed against the skyline, the same glass towers Maria had once polished until her reflection vanished. Now, for the first time, the glass reflected her back. The morning after the verdict, headlines blazed across every news channel. CEO Charlotte Cross accused of evidence tampering. The world that once adored her perfection now tore it apart piece by piece. Social media turned overnight. Her smile, once power, now a meme of hypocrisy. Inside her penthouse, Charlotte sat alone, the city skyline reflecting across the glass, the same towers that had once mirrored Maria's face as she cleaned. Now they reflected her downfall. Her assistant's confession had gone viral. Sponsors pulled out. The board demanded a meeting. Her empire, built on image, was cracking, and for the first time, there was no one left to blame. That afternoon, she drove to Maria's old neighborhood, a place she'd only ever seen from behind tinted windows. She found Maria standing outside a small community center, helping Elena distribute food to other struggling workers. Charlotte hesitated, then approached. People recognized her instantly. Murmurs rippled. Maria turned. Her face was calm, no anger, no triumph. Charlotte's voice trembled. "Didn't come to ask forgiveness. I came to understand why you didn't destroy me when you could." Maria stuttered her, eyes soft but steady. "Because I've spent my whole life cleaning after people who make messes and walk away. Someone has to stop the cycle." Charlotte blinked back tears. "You could have taken everything." "I don't want what's yours," Maria said quietly. "I just wanted my name back." Charlotte nodded, the weight of guilt pressing down like gravity. Then she left. No cameras, no entourage, just silence. And for the first time, she truly saw what power had made her blind to. Dignity doesn't need a title. Maria frowned. "I don't need it." Charlotte nodded. "I know. But I needed to give it back, Not to you, but to the truth. Maria looked at her for a long moment, then gently closed the box. Then keep it, as a reminder. Of what? That time runs out for everyone who forgets to be human. Charlotte smiled faintly. I'll remember that. They stood in silence, two women on opposite sides of a life they both learned from. When Charlotte left, Maria watched the car disappear into the horizon, and felt something close inside her. Not anger, not forgiveness, just peace. The city kept moving, as it always did. But something had changed. The skyscraper Maria once cleaned was now under new management. And just below the company nameplate, engraved in steel, were 7 small words. Integrity begins where power ends. Lopez. Maria visited one morning quietly. The receptionist recognized her immediately. Mrs. Lopez, they told us about you. You're part of our training manual now. She laughed softly. I used to clean those floors. The receptionist smiled. Now, you stand above them. As she walked out, sunlight spilled across the glass, reflecting her face back, not distorted this time, but clear, proud, whole. That night, Maria sat by her apartment window, sipping tea. Elena worked at her desk nearby, drafting cases for the foundation. The soft glow of city lights painted their small living room gold. Maria spoke quietly. You know, when I was your age, I thought justice was a thing rich people bought. Elena looked up, smiling. Now you know it's something ordinary people build. They sat together in silence, mother and daughter, survivor and fighter. The hum of the city outside felt gentler now, almost grateful. Maria leaned back, whispering almost to herself, all I ever wanted was to be seen. I never thought it would be like this. Elena took her hand. The world finally looked, Mama, because you didn't bow your head. Outside, a light rain began to fall, but this time, it didn't feel heavy. It shimmered against the window like glass turning to gold. A slow smile spread across Maria's face. I used to clean their windows, she murmured. Now, I see right through them.